Hey there, this is Matt with State of Flux here with a review for Mission Impossible. With the new Mission Impossible movie, the potentially final Mission Impossible movie with the original cast, coming out later this summer, I thought I would look back at the entire franchise, some of which I haven't seen more than one time or haven't seen in about a decade. Mission Impossible 1 was one that I saw back when it first came out in 1996, and I was thoroughly unimpressed. As an adult, the movie rings true a little better. Brian De Palma is a phenomenal filmmaker. That first 30 minutes is absolutely captivating. I love how it's photographed, I love the energy of it all, and I think it has phenomenal performances from everybody in the principal cast, especially Tom Cruise and Emilio Estevez, who has the most shocking death of this franchise because he was such a big name at the time. That said, the half-hour mark kind of bridges this, gets us to this middle bridge of the film that it is stretching way too long. You're pulling the taffy for far more time than there is allotted for. It doesn't have that much left in the engine at that point creatively besides the big set pieces. Yes, the Mission Impossible scene where he's dangling is a nail biter, and the final action set piece on the bullet train is also absolutely compelling and wonderfully staged and photographed. But everything else in between that stuff after the first half hour is just meandering, and it loses my interest, it loses my investment. And the fact that this film just seems so dissociated from the rest of the franchise, it's the skippable one in my opinion. And we'll touch on that a little bit next week too when I discuss Mission Impossible 2. But this film does fare better than my memory originally had it. I do think it's a serviceable film that isn't as great as some people say it is, but it's not as bad as other people say either. It's just kind of blah. As I say, watch that first half hour and dip out at that point. That being said, the big elephant in the room is the way this film handles its legacy characters. This is a sequel to the original Mission Impossible show, and it takes your title hero from that, who is not Ethan Hunt, but it makes him the villain of this story. So I can see if you were a fan of the original show, like my dad was, you would hate this film. Absolutely hate it. The same way that certain people argue that like Luke Skywalker and The Last Jedi ruined their childhood and stuff like that. I don't think that argument holds up as much. I think there's more to support what happens in Luke's journey in that series, or that film specifically, than there is for this, who is just a sudden villainous turn just to do it, and I don't understand why they did that. It's done for shock value for a certain era of people who are always going to age out of existence at some point anyway. Why not just make Ethan Hunt the main character? Is it Fred Phelps? Why not just have him be Fred Phelps or whatever? I don't understand. And I think that was a really weird and not great creative choice. And yeah, and it's not executed particularly well either. Like, Jon Voight does nothing to conceal his true allegiances, I feel, all the way through. And maybe it's just because he has evil dick face, but like, it's just, yeah. Anyway, I think the movie's okay. It probably is a better movie than an okay review would speak to, but I can't justify giving it more than like 2 to 2.5 stars either, because it just isn't captivating outside of the grand set pieces in the first 30 minutes. That said, I also think that Danny Elfman helps this film a lot because he gives a just delicious score all the way through that keeps you to thinking that the movie that you're watching is better than it is, because it's being supported by such grand music and pretty fantastic editing as well. Anyway, that's my review of Mission Impossible. I know there are some people out there that think this is the best of the franchise and everything came out afterwards is popcorn, like tosh, but yeah, I just don't see it that way. I love this film. I love those films and not this film. Let me know what you think of this film in the comment area down below. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and peace.